deep in the heart of the wild jungle, where the canopy formed a living roof of leaves and the air was thick with the scent of damp earth. Something strange was happening. The moon, which usually shone so brightly over the jungle, had vanished. Not a sliver of light remained in the night sky, and the animals were growing restless. Without the moon, the jungle was plunged into complete darkness, and fear began to spread among its inhabitants. At the center of this growing worry was a young panther named Kira. Sleek and strong, Kira had always been the protector of her part of the jungle, ensuring peace between the animals. But now, with the moon gone, Kira felt uneasy. The jungle felt different, darker, colder, and filled with unsettling whispers in the wind. The elders of the jungle called a meeting. At the ancient gathering tree, all the animals gathered to discuss the mystery of the missing moon. There were the wise elephants, the quick-witted monkeys, the cautious deer, and the powerful tigers. Kira sat near the front, listening closely as the oldest of the elders, Bako the tortoise, slowly made his way to the center of the circle. "The moon has disappeared before," Bako said, his voice old and creaky like the branches of the oldest trees. "Long ago, when the balance of the jungle was broken, the moon was taken by the Great Shadow, a spirit of darkness who lives deep within the Black Mountain. It is said that only a brave heart can return the moon and restore balance." Whispers spread through the crowd. The Black Mountain was a forbidden place, a jagged peak that loomed far beyond the jungle. Few dared venture there, for it was said to be home to spirits and creatures far more dangerous than anything the jungle had ever known. Kira felt a knot tighten in her chest, but she knew what had to be done. She stood up, her golden eyes gleaming in the dim firelight. "I will go to the Black Mountain and bring back the moon," she declared. The animals gasped. Even the bravest among them had never considered such a dangerous journey. But Kira was determined. She couldn't let the jungle fall into chaos and fear. Before Kira could leave, a small voice piped up from behind her. It was Miko, a young tree frog with bright, curious eyes. "I want to come with you," Miko croaked. Though he was tiny, his heart was large, and he often dreamed of adventure. Kira hesitated. "It will be dangerous, Miko," she warned gently. "I know," Miko said, hopping closer, "but the moon belongs to all of us. I want to help." With a nod of agreement, Kira and Miko set off together, venturing through the jungle as it plunged deeper into darkness. As they traveled, the creatures of the night watched them, eyes glowing in the underbrush, their whispers following Kira and Miko wherever they went. The jungle seemed to shift as they moved, growing more unfamiliar. Soon, they reached the edge of the jungle and stood before the Black Mountain. It was a towering, dark mass of rock and shadow, far more intimidating than Kira had imagined. The wind howled, and clouds swirled menacingly around its peak. Undeterred, Kira began the long climb up the mountainside, with Miko perched on her back. The path was steep, and sharp rocks jutted out at odd angles, but they pressed on. Halfway up, they encountered a massive chasm with no way across, until a voice, low and rumbling, echoed from the shadows. It was Lorne, a massive gorilla who lived in the cliffs of the Black Mountain, rarely seen by anyone. He stepped forward, his large frame casting a long shadow. "Why do you climb the mountain?" he asked, his voice filled with suspicion. "We seek the Great Shadow," Kira said bravely. "The moon has been stolen, and we must return it to the jungle." Lorne frowned, but looked thoughtful. "Many have tried and failed. The Great Shadow is no ordinary foe. But I will help you," he said, extending a thick arm to create a bridge across the chasm. "You have the courage of the jungle in your heart." Kira nodded gratefully, and they crossed safely, continuing their journey to the mountain's peak. At last, they reached the top, where a great cave yawned open, its entrance guarded by twisted trees and thick fog. Inside, the air was cold, and the darkness felt alive. As they entered the cave, they saw it, a glowing orb of silver light, suspended in the center of the cave. It was the moon, trapped in a cage of shadows. Before Kira could move, the Great Shadow appeared. A massive, swirling figure of smoke and darkness. Its eyes gleamed like stars long forgotten. It filled the cave with its presence, looming over Kira and Miko. "You dare to challenge me?" The great shadow boomed, its voice like thunder. "The moon is mine now." Kira stood tall, her heart pounding. "The moon belongs to the jungle," she said, her voice steady. "Without it, the balance is broken." The great shadow laughed, a low, menacing sound. "If you can break my cage of shadows, the moon is yours. But first, you must face your deepest fears." Suddenly, the cave twisted and shifted around them, and Kira found herself standing alone in the jungle, surrounded by nothing but darkness. The trees loomed like monsters, their branches reaching out for her. She could hear the cries of her friends, far away, as if they were lost forever. Fear gripped her, but she remembered why she had come. The jungle, her home, needed her. "No," Kira said aloud, her voice ringing out in the darkness. "I will not be afraid." With that, the shadows began to dissolve, and Kira's strength grew. She lunged toward the cage and, with a mighty swipe of her paw, shattered it. The moon burst free, its light filling the cave and banishing the great shadow to the farthest corners of the mountain. With the moon safely in the sky once more, Kira and Miko returned to the jungle as heroes. The animals celebrated their bravery, and the balance of the jungle was restored. From that night on, the moon shone brighter than ever, a reminder of Kira's courage and the power of unity in the face of darkness.